ladies and gentlemen, it's great to welcome all of you, including those who've travelled from interstate here to the National Museum today. Welcome especially to Jeremy Lasek, to Julie Inman Grant, who's here on behalf of Danny Keynes of Twitter Australia. Welcome to Lee Kultur, and to our 2014 very important tweeters, Holly Brennan, Paul Foley, Natalie Ford, Alex Mcmanus and Myra, I hope that's right, Myra Minoza. Also to local band Drawing North. I'm also delighted to welcome my colleagues in the portfolio, the Acting Secretary of the Attorney General's Department, Mr Tony Sheehan, the Director of the Museum of Australian Democracy, Darryl Karp, and the Director General of the National Archives of Australia, David Fricker, and not the least, Russell Taylor, who I think is here, who's the principal of our good friends, IATSIS. Also the members of the Committee of the National Australia Day Council. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Matt Trinker, and I'm the Director of the National Museum of Australia. I'd like to begin proceedings here this morning, as always at the museum, by acknowledging the Ngunnawal and Ngambri traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, and offer my respect and thanks to their elders, past and present. Now, today marks a little more than a year since we first sat down to talk to Twitter and the National Australia Day Council to cement a partnership inviting Australians to let us know how they were spending Australia Day in 2014. And what a success that turned out to be. More than 70,000 tweets came in from people right across the country and overseas, letting us know what they were doing, how they were marking the day, and more than 30,000 images were tweeted to the hashtag Australia Day. We had staff on duty on Australia Day last year, right through the day and night, as happened, curating a section of these images as they came in for what was really a live rolling exhibition called Australia Day Your Way that played on the screen above me here in our Visions Theatre and also online. And it's fair to say that we're all really delighted by the enthusiasm with which Australians here and abroad embrace the idea. I actually took a couple of shifts through the course of the day working on the desk, curating the exhibition as it really emerged from the plethora of these images being sent in to us. And I took a shift in the evening, particularly on Australia Day, just before the fireworks here in Canberra. And for those of you attending the fireworks in Canberra, can I suggest the peninsula here at Acton is an excellent place from which to view the fireworks. And I was here in my office looking at the images that were still coming through in the evening on Australia Day, and of course taking some from what was much earlier on Australia Day from Perth, for instance, and curating those into this live stream of images that really comprised this simultaneous exhibition, this instant exhibition. So I guess I'm particularly delighted, because I feel I had a hand in it all as well, to be receiving today from Twitter Australia the time capsule here of images that were tweeted last year. That's all the images, not just the ones that we selected for the exhibition. And we'll keep those images for the future, because they really comprise a remarkable digital snapshot of how Australians marked Australia Day in 2014. And I think that as the years pass, that this sort of record of a popular record of what people were doing on Australia Day will be important for us in understanding, who we are and how we imagine ourselves as a nation, how we imagined ourselves as a nation at this time. The other part of today's proceedings, of course, is to launch the project for 2015, the result of what I'm very pleased to say is an ongoing partnership between the National Museum of Australia, Twitter and the National Australia Day Council. And this partnership with the NADC and Twitter has been, quite frankly, a joy to be a part of, and has brought Australia Day, we think, alive in a dynamic, fun and contemporary way. In 2015, in just a few weeks, we'll be broadcasting the live exhibition here in the main hall again, and also online at your.australiaday.org.au. And we're thrilled to welcome 5 individuals to the museum today whose images really captured the spirit of Australia Day last year. We thank them for their contributions and for making the effort to be with us today in Canberra as we launch the project for this year. We're also joined by Lee Kultur, who'll tell us about her Australia Day plans this year. Now, Australia Day means different things to different people, and Australia Day traditions are as diverse as the Australian community itself. This museum is the place where the stories of Australians come alive, and we seek to reflect the experiences of people of all backgrounds, and we're aware that different people mark Australia Day in many different ways. We encourage all of them to do what feels right for them on that day, on January 26th, and get involved. Tweet us a note or an image and let us know what you're up to, what you're doing. Now, in closing, I'd like to thank Accor Hotels Canberra, the museum's accommodation sponsor, and the many other organisations who have promoted and supported this great initiative. We couldn't do together the work that we're doing without your help. It's my great pleasure now to introduce Julie Inman Grant, the Head of Public Policy of Twitter Australia. Julie.
Thank you, Matthew, and good morning. I wanted to start this morning's proceedings with a fun fact. More than a quarter of Aussies are generally born somewhere else, and as you've probably gathered by now, I'm one of those 25%. And in the 15 years I've lived here in Australia, while the accent hasn't softened, my love and enthusiasm for Australia Day has grown year on year. And who doesn't love a holiday that exalts the humble Aussie barbecue, after all? And we believe that Twitter is the perfect platform for sharing your traditions and celebrations around this most celebrated holiday of the year. Last year, Twitter worked with the NADC and NMA to capture images of the many ways Aussies celebrate Australia Day. Today, I'm pleased to not physically hand over the capsule, because I do not want to be the person that drops it, but it will become a permanent fixture here at the NMA and record one of the most special days on the Australian calendar. We are proud to be a partner of the NADC to help them make Australia Day an even bigger and better event this year, and to add another digital chapter to how Aussies celebrate their day their way. It's great to have the very inspiring Ben Roberts-Smith and the fabulous Ricki-l Kultur here to encourage everyday Aussies to get involved in creating part of history. To make it even easier for Australians to join in, we will have Twitter mirrors at events around the country, including, of course, here at the National Museum, where the Australia Twitter time capsule will be on exhibit. On a more serious note, part of what makes Australia one of the greatest places on this earth to call home is the diversity of its land and its people, its culture of tolerance and openness, and the indelible Australian spirit. This spirit was very much on display with the I'll Ride With You movement in the wake of one of the more tragic events recently on Australian soil. Australians also came out in solidarity last week with the French with the Je suis Charlie movement, which is now on record as the most tweeted hashtag in the world ever. Australia Day reminds us of what it means to be Australians, whether we are the first owners of this land, whether we've been here for generations, or we've been recently embraced here as citizens. It reminds us of how important it is to celebrate our heroes, sustain that culture of tolerance and respect, and an appreciation of diversity that reminds us what a truly lucky nation we are. To that end, Twitter is very proud to be supporting the Racism It Stops With Me campaign, being championed by 2014 Australian of the Year Adam Goodes and backed by the Australian Human Rights Commission and the National Australia Day Council. This is part of a larger effort by Twitter to undertake combating hate speech through the promotion of counter-speech efforts by encouraging users to directly challenge racist, hateful, or extreme views through positive messaging and narratives. So look out for more activity on Twitter on this incredibly important campaign and the latest Australia Day activity. So with that, we officially launch Australia Day Your Way, and we'd love to also recognize the photographers who've contributed to this effort, not just the everyday Australians, but professionals like Paul Foley, who have contributed some beautiful photos of Australia to the events. So thank you very much, and happy tweeting.
Thanks, Julie. And can I just underscore the work that Twitter and obviously others are doing to promote tolerance in Australian society and right across the world. It seems to me that there is no more pressing need in our society today, in our global community, and it's terrific to hear that Twitter is behind those moves in such a strong way. Can I now invite Jeremy Lasik, the Chief Executive Officer of the National Australia Day Council to the stage, a great friend of the museum who we're delighted to welcome back. Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Matt. It is great to be back on almost feels like home soil, the National Museum. It's a great institution and a real national treasure, not just for Canberra but for the whole nation. Could I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're meeting on and pay my respect to their elders past and present. The work our organisation does to promote national pride and spirit is so dependent on relationships. And the relationship we've struck with hashtag Australia Day, with the National Museum and with the Twitter organisation is one we do truly treasure. And what we're looking to do with hashtag Australia this Australia Day is to strike up an even bigger relationship, if that's possible, a relationship with the whole nation, where we encourage millions of Australians, we're thinking bold folks, millions of Australians to tweet their experience, where they're at, what they're doing, the fun they're having and the celebrations they're having, perhaps the reflection they're having on our past, our present and our future. Tweet away hashtag Australia Day. It's a little thing to ask, but we want to smash Twitter. We don't expect to break the recently established world hashtag record, if I can put it that way, but we really want to make a major impact and share with the nation our National Day in a really, really constructive, positive way. So to Matt and to Julie, again, thank you to your organisations and to your teams for the amazing work that they've done with our team to pull this together again. 70,000 tweets last year, 30,000 images. If we don't more than double that, I'll be disappointed. So let's see how we go, folks. I also learn a lot through this job, and one of the things I've learnt through this project is the expression, very important tweeter, VIT. Now, there's a lot of VIPs in the room, but we also have a group of VITs, and it's fabulous to have them here from around the country. And I'd like to invite them onto stage now to introduce you to them. So, VITs in the front row, please come and join us. Our VITs are Lee Kultur, together with Holly Brennan, Paul Foley, Natalie Ford, Alex Mcmanus and Myra Minoza, as I say, joining us from right across the country. Could I also welcome, and I believe they're here in the audience, what we call in Canberra our humans. These are people who are involved with the Human Brochure Project. They're fanatical social media users, and I hope they're here, but could I welcome Kate Lovell, Trevor Hickman, Erna Glassford, Natasha van der Brug and Serena Huang. Would you welcome them also? And firstly, I'd ask Lee Kultur, someone who doesn't need a great deal of introduction. Lee and I were talking earlier. I can't believe it's over 10 years since Ricki was on The Voice. Should have won it. We all... Idol, the other one. She should have won both, let's face it. Ricki's not only a great Australian, but a great entertainer, one of the great voices in the country, and a very passionate Australian too. Ricki-Lee, come and have a chat. Ladies and gentlemen, Ricki-Lee Kultur. Ricki-Lee, Australia Day, being Australian. You're originally from New Zealand, but clearly now you're a very passionate Aussie.
Very much so. I was born in New Zealand and my family moved over to Australia when I was just, 3 weeks old. So I can't really say anything, but I am Australian. And Australia, for me, is such an amazing country, and I think Australia Day is a great time to reflect on how lucky we are to live in such an incredible country.
What about Australia Day itself, the 26th of January? What does Australia Day mean to you? Is there a tradition for you?
Well, usually I'm performing and doing a show or doing a gig, and so wherever I am in the world or in the country, we always celebrate. But usually, I like waking up. If I'm at home, this year I know I'll be waking up, going for a swim at the beach. I'll have my friends and family around for a barbecue, which I'm usually the one that cooks it. And when I think about all the people that I have spending Australia Day with me, I've got my band, my dancers, and my crew, and some of my friends and family, because we have a show in Bankstown on Australia Day. And I think about the cross section of those people, and I've got, I'm from New Zealand, my family's from New Zealand, my stepdad's Scottish, my choreographer's Croatian, my girlfriend is Japanese, and
Wow.
her husband is Puerto Rican from the Bronx, and my fiance is from Melbourne. So there's a wide range of people, and I think when you actually stop and think about that, it really represents what Australia is, and it's multicultural and it's accepting and it's tolerant of everybody, and I think that's why we are so lucky.
And do you see Australia Day, and I agree, it really is a chance to celebrate our great diversity.
Yeah.
Do you see Australia Day then as being a great opportunity then to reinforce that multiculturalism?
I think it's just about being mindful of it and being grateful of it. And I like to get out there and really, I like going down to the beach, and I like going on road trips, and I like getting out and about in Australia and checking out places I haven't before. I was just saying to you before, I want to come down to Jervis Bay and have a look. It won't be on Australia Day because I'll be in Bankstown, but I do think it is about taking a moment, because I think so many of us are so busy with our lives and we don't stop often enough to stop and take stock and think about how lucky we are, and I think Australia Day is the perfect time for that.
And you're telling me you've just had a chance to take stock. You've had the first holiday in years, which is fantastic. And what about Bankstown? There should be a fantastic vibe on Australia Day that night.
Yeah, it's a free concert for families to come out and enjoy. There's a whole day of entertainment and rides, and people can come down and bring their picnic blankets, and there's there's lots of stuff going on, and I'll be performing at night just before the fireworks. And for me, that is such a part of my Australia Day, because I always am doing a show, and it's nice to travel around the country and see different parts and perform for different faces in different places. It's definitely one of my favourite things, and one of my favourite Australia Days was actually spent here in Canberra at Parliament House.
Tell us about that in 2004.
Yeah, 2004 or 2005, I can't remember which it was.
So this is the Australia Celebrates Live concert, which is on again on the 25th, and Ricki-l, I think, was in the first show up there.
Yeah, I think it was 2004 or 2005, and I remember it was coming to Canberra and actually performing on the stage in front of Parliament House, and I was 18 years old, and for me that was the most incredible thing that I'd ever done. And it's still such a highlight with a huge crowd of people. It was just spectacular and really iconic, and I'll never forget the feeling of walking out on the stage, just as the lights were coming on and performing. It was incredible.
Well, we loved having you here. We'll have to get you back again.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a big round of applause for Lee Kultur.
Thank you so much.
I might, in the spirit of the day, I might just whack off get a quick selfie. Here we go.
Boom.
Thank you. To be tweeted later. Thanks, Ricki-l. And now Holly Brennan is our next VIT, and Holly's from Noosa on Queensland's beautiful Sunshine Coast, and Tyne is with Holly today. Tell me why you've brought, and welcome firstly, but tell me why Tyne's on stage with you.
Well, actually our tweet that was one of the very important tweets was something that Tyne and I created together. So I thought it was I may have tweeted it, but Tyne was the creator.
Well, I think we're going to see that particular image in the tweet, and there it is. Tyne, do you want to talk a little bit about what you've created there?
It's a pavlova.
A very Aussie pavlova. And what went into the pavlova?
Chocolate, watermelon and mango.
Well, it looks absolutely amazing. Why did you create that image? Obviously, it's the Aboriginal flag. Tell us what you had in mind.
Well, I saw it on a show and I thought we might create it, and then me and Mum were thinking and we decided to create the Aboriginal flag.
Great.
Yeah. So we saw a show that actually showed the Australia Day flag, the Australian flag, and for us in our family it's really important that we acknowledge the sovereign owners. And so instead of us making the Australian flag, what we decided to do was actually to make the Aboriginal flag so that we could reflect on the day and what the day means for a lot of people who live here.
I think that's a wonderful thing to do. And this Australia Day, is it another cake, Tyne? What have you got planned this Australia Day?
I'm not totally sure. I think
Mum?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't prep
What are we
up.
doing, Mum?
Well, what we're doing is we will probably make another cake, but Australia Day is really important to us for a few reasons. One reason is reflecting on the traditional owners of the land, but also 2 years ago I was lucky enough to receive an Order of Australia medal for work in child protection. And so what we also do on Australia Day is also think about children in Australia who are at risk or at risk of harm, and we not only reflect on how lucky we are to be safe, but also think about those young people in Australia who may not be.
That's wonderful. We at the National Australia Day Council also reflect on the traditional owners. It's a tough day for many in the nation, and I congratulate you, Tyne, in particular, for being so creative. And if you do come up with a cake this year, what are you going to put as a hashtag afterwards?
Survival Day.
No, Australia Day.
Yes, but after the Australia
After that, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
You can
so-
do both.
Yes.
Is that right, Twitter? Yes.
We use both
Yeah.
hashtags in our family. We say Survival Day or Invasion Day as well as Australia Day. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I'd ask Paul Foley to come up next. Paul, as was mentioned, is a great photographer and captured a fantastic image which he tweeted last Australia Day. Paul, tell us about your image.
Well, the picture was taken quite a few years before that particular Australia Day. About the week before, I'd gone through my portfolio and selected pictures that I'd taken over the years that I thought typified Australians. And that one came back to memory because I was up at Newcastle Ocean Baths doing a photographic shoot at dawn one morning, and I had models and clients and everybody around while we're trying to get the sun come across at the right moment. But all the while in the background there was this sound of splashing and take my picture. And it was these, they're not there yet.
Yeah, no, they're now.
It was those four feisty ladies.
Fantastic.
And so it's
So
just
you
a special
don't know
picture
these
to me.
ladies?
Well, I didn't at the time, and because I was busy working, I said, look, I said to them, do you come here often? They said, every day. I said, okay, well, I'll come back with some pictures for you when I get them done. It was back in the day shooting film, so, we had to get it all processed and everything. So I went back about 3 weeks later and no one there, and went back over the next month because I lived in Newcastle then, no one there any time. And I thought, oh no. Anyway, so about a year after that, I'm opening a gallery in Newcastle, and the woman who was going to run my gallery, this is a good story, her girlfriend comes in to look at the gallery being set up and was going through my portfolio of images and saw that picture and said, they live next door. She lives next door to me. So we found them and they came to the opening of the gallery.
And so for you, this typifies, I guess it's the water, it's people having fun, it's relaxation. Is that what you see Australia Day meaning?
Well, we are a pretty coastal nation, but it's one aspect of it. It's so hard to epitomise Australia Day in one photograph. But one of my best Australia Days was actually at a citizenship ceremony. And if you haven't been to one, it's one of the best things you can ever go to. I was actually working at it, and I commented earlier that a couple of times I missed shots because I was so emotional about what was happening. It was really, really good.
And Adam Goods, our Australian of the Year, went to his first citizenship ceremony on Australia Day last year, and he said afterwards it was about the most moving thing he's ever been to see people who've essentially, I won't say given up, but made a big decision to become Australians, having come from somewhere else. And for Goodsy, as a very proud Aboriginal man, he was just very, very moved by it. What about you, this Australia Day, with your camera, I hope?
It will be, but I'm going to have my Australia Day with friends this weekend. because I'm planning to go out taking some personal work on the week on Australia Day, floating around some of the smaller ceremonies, or just hopefully knocking on doors and finding a backyard that'll let me in and take some pictures.
Well, thanks again for a tremendous image last year, and we hope you're tweeting madly this year.
I will be. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul Foley. We're now meeting Natalie Ford from Lismore on the New South Wales North Coast, and Natalie's studying at the Southern Cross University. What are you studying, Natalie?
Oh, I'm studying Bachelor of Media at the moment.
Well, that's very appropriate for what we're talking about today. Great image from you last year. Can you tell us all about it?
Okay. As an Australian citizen born overseas, I was thrilled and excited that 2014 was my very first Australia Day celebration here in Australia. The image that I posted was Australia Day. The image that I posted was celebrating Australia Day for the very first time, together with my family, my sisters, my mom, and my dad. It was a big thrill for me. I was very happy to post numerous photos on social media showing the celebration that we had at home in Lismore, New South Wales.
And there it is. That's your backyard, is it?
Yeah.
And that's such an Australian thing to do, to celebrate Australia Day in a backyard,
Yeah.
usually with a barbecue. Is there a sausage sizzling in the background or something? No? Okay. No. What about your plans for this Australia Day?
So this coming Australia Day 2015, we're planning to go to Sydney.
To the big celebrations in
Yeah.
Sydney. Wow.
We'll make it the public way.
Absolutely. Well, they're tipping hundreds of thousands down at the harbour, so you'll enjoy yourself. It's a great program they've lined up in Sydney. And you having a camera or your handy phone with you?
Yeah, my handy phone and my camera.
Well, when you tweet, #Australia Day, and I'm sure your image will be captured again this year. Thank you for your image last year, and thank you for coming and joining us today.
Thank you.
Natalie Ford, ladies and gentlemen. Our next VIT is Alex Mcmanus, who I believe isn't an Australian, but doesn't mean she can't enjoy and celebrate Australia Day. Alex, great to have you in Canberra, and tell us a little bit about yourself. You're from the other side of the world.
Yeah, from England, so I feel very privileged to be in Australia. So thank you for having me and letting my image be shown.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here in Australia and here at the National Museum. Can you tell us about the picture you captured last year and why you chose that picture?
Yeah, so this is taken in Sydney at Balmoral Beach, and I was with all Aussies that day. I was the only English girl there, and they said, "Oh, let's have a thong throwing competition." Now in England, that means something completely different. I wasn't willing to remove my underwear for this competition, but instead, obviously, we call them flip-flops. So I was like, "Oh, flip-flop competition. Now I know what you're talking about." So we had to throw them as far as we could, and the person who won had to not actually win a prize, but down their drink. I thought it would be the opposite, but no.
No.
So that's what that
Did
image
you win, by
captures.
the way?
No, it got stuck in the tree.
Oh, okay.
I'm not wearing those thongs today.
No. Are you? What are you planning for Australia Day 2015?
That's a very good question. Probably will be spending it with Aussies. I don't have family here, so if I did, then it would be an opportunity for everyone to come together. But it will be with, I hope, more Aussies so we can enjoy the moment.
And tell me, does England have a similar day? Is it St Andrew's Day, or what happens?
Unfortunately not. I mean, I want an excuse to have a day off work if I go back to England, but we don't even get the Queen's birthday off, so you're very lucky, Aussies. So I would love it if England could have England Day.
Well, Alex, you've been in Australia a couple of years now. I believe there are people here from the Department of Immigration who would, I'm sure, love to sign you up as a true blue Aussie. Can we twist your arm to make the pledge and the commitment to Australia without putting you on the spot?
Yes, no, you can put me on the spot. That's fine. I would absolutely love it. I'm applying for permanent residency in May, and then a year after that, I hopefully will become an Aussie citizen.
So there you go, folks. There's a scoop for all the media. Alex, great to have you here this morning.
Thank you.
And we really look forward to seeing your image and your tweet this Australia Day.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Alex Mcmanus. And our last very important tweeter is Myra Minoza. Myra, come on up. And Myra's from Adelaide, I believe.
Yes.
I'm from Adelaide.
Well,
Hi.
welcome to Canberra, the national
Thank you.
capital and the National Museum, and
Yes.
and thank you for getting involved in #Australia Day last year.
No, thank you. Thank you for the National Museum of Canberra for making this happen, and also the National Australia Day Council. Thank you.
And you're not originally from Australia either, so
No.
what's your story?
So I'm from the Philippines. I came here almost 5 years ago to study. So I graduated here, and now I'm a permanent resident applying for citizenship.
Yay, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Well, you might have a race to see who
Yes.
can get citizenship first. Now, you captured a great image too, Amira.
thank
Tell us a
you.
little bit about it.
So in South Australia, every year, the organization Filipino Australians is invited to the parade. So the parade consists of the many cultures and ethnicities in South Australia. So that just shows Australia being a country
There it
of diversity, acceptance, and unity. And I think that photo portrays it. I'm Filipino, but I'm also a proud Australian. And according to the song by Mr. Woodley, we are many, but we are one. So we are one Australia, and consisting of the many people from all the corners, from all around the world. And I think that image says it.
And that's that's a theme coming through today,
Yeah.
that we are a wonderfully diverse, tolerant and
Yes.
accepting nation, and I think all the speakers have said that today,
Yes.
and that image certainly captures that. What about this year? What can we look forward to from Myra this year from Adelaide? Because Adelaide does a great party too.
Yeah, we do. So it's a tradition for me to do the parade again with our traditional Filipino costume, participating with family and friends, because I think that's what Australia Day is, with friends and family, with everyone that you care about. So I'm going to do that and enjoy the free cultural event in Adelaide.
Well, thank you again for being
Thank
here,
you.
and we really look forward to your image and what you capture as your experience of Australia Day this
Thank
year.
you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Myra and the whole VIT team. They're an amazing group, and if they can capture half the image they did this year that they did last year, that would be something very, very special. As I said, talking to Ricki-l earlier, one of the great traditions in Canberra on Australia Day, or Australia Day Eve, is the Australia of the Year Awards and the Australia Celebrates live concert on the lawns of Parliament House on the afternoon and evening of the 25th of January. It's on again this year. So far we have announced Paul Kelly, Jess Mauboy and Shepherd as the lineup for this year's concert, and I'm now delighted to announce the final act, a fantastic local band, Drawing North. Let's hear it for Drawing North. And I'd invite Drawing North to the stage if they're close by. And I understand I'm going to be talking to Drew and Poe from the band. Just Poe. Drew's piked it. So while the guys are setting up for a musical performance, Poe, congratulations firstly on being part of this lineup. It's going to be one hell of a show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're very, very excited to play the show. It'll probably be one of the biggest ones we've ever played.
One of the biggest?
Okay, definitely the biggest we've ever played. I've played in front of my family once.
Oh, great.
Pretty
How did that
impressive. They're a bunch of critics.
Poe, tell us the Drawing North story. Are you all locals?
We are all locals, all Canberra boys. Yeah, that's tell us a story. I don't know.
Tell us about your music. What sort of genre?
I guess I'd describe us more a pop band. I guess just mainstream radio music. We recorded last year. We went over to America and recorded our first ever album over there. And yeah, we haven't released yet. Just waiting on a few background things as always.
Well, after today, I think you'll go mad. It'll go viral.
Oh,
look at the cameras out there.
Oh, there they are.
Yeah, there they are. So we know what you're doing on the 25th. You're performing in front of Parliament. What about Australia Day? What are the Drawing North boys going to be doing in Australia?
Probably sit by the pool, have a few coconuts, relax, have one of those traditional barbecues. They're always lovely. And
Triple J, hottest 100, maybe?
Definitely.
Great.
Chad keeps saying he's going to vote for Taylor Swift. He just wants to cause a bit of controversy, but we love her, so that's all right.
Great, guys, we're really looking forward not only to hearing you today, but hearing, I assume the song you'll play today, you'll play on the 25th, so is this a sneak peek?
Yeah, sure. Now it is. Now
Great,
we will be.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, Drawing North.
Thank you. Alrighty, this one's one of our originals that we recorded over in America a year ago. We hope you guys enjoy it. It's 4 in the afternoon, she says, as he's got whiskey on his hands. She takes the bottle and writes a plea, sends a prayer right out to the sea for the lost, that they might find it, yeah. When your world falls down, pull your heart along. It's hard to always get it right, but easier to get it wrong. Well, you know it's love, 'cause you set it free, and it hurts so bad, but you found your feet. When you're alone and lost, carry on, you'll see. I know you won't give up, carry on with me. Oh, she's poor, young of age, she longs for the romance of the stage, that it may find her, as her wealth is in her feet, but the roses in her dreams will never come from empty seats, yeah. When your world falls down, pull your heart along. It's hard to always get it right, but easier to get it wrong. Well, you know it's love, 'cause you set it free, and it hurts so bad, but you found your feet. When you're alone and lost, carry on, you'll see. I know you won't give up, carry on with me. Well, I've been told the world is ending. Oh, life must go on. Well, I say this is the beginning. We will carry on. Well, you know it's love, 'cause you set it free, and it hurts so bad, but you found your feet. When you're alone and lost, carry on, you'll see. I know you won't give up, carry on with me, yeah. You set it free, and you know it's a love. You set it free. Oh.
Carry on now, carry on now, carry on now.
You know we can know it's a love.
Carry on now, carry on now,
Hey, no, 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 no. Carry on now, 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 carry. Thank you.
It's Drawing North. Thanks, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's official proceedings. Can I just close by thanking you all for attending, and as always I'd like to thank the fantastic staff here at the National Museum of Australia, and also those who I know have joined us from Twitter Australia and from the National Australia Day Council for all their efforts in putting this project together. You've heard what you should be doing on the 25th. at the Australia Day concert. On the 26th, you should be here at the National Museum for our family festival that starts at 10 and goes till 3. A jam-packed schedule of events through the course of the day. Australia Day is a big day for the National Museum of Australia, as you would expect in a place that's devoted really to revealing the many-stranded story of the nation. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you all the very best for Australia Day in 2015, and we look forward to receiving your tweets. Thanks.